Good evening, everyone. This is your host, Jeremiah Michael, with another episode of Make That Bloody Movie with Coffee. And in tonight's episode, we have a special guest. His name is Randy Hillman. He worked for NBC, he worked for CBS, and he's a hell of a guy. Full of information, spirituality, and ladies and gentlemen, he'll leave you speechless at times. And some of his adventures that he has gone through throughout his life, he's going to share with us tonight. So here's Randy Hillman. How you doing, Randy?
Hey, J.R. Michael. It's wonderful talking with you tonight. Since I've known you for a couple of years now, it's been very, a lot of fun working with you and your knowledge and so forth. So I appreciate you having me on your show tonight.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, Randy, and I've heard a lot about you. You've seen a lot of things, been through a lot of whirlwind adventures, and if you want, share it with the audience. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned till the end of the episode. Well, we, like every episode, we let our listeners know what I'm drinking, what's my coffee of the night, and what's Randy Hillman's favorite brew of the night. So stick around and you'll find out.
Well, thanks for asking me on the show again, JR. I think it's important for, I've been in the entertainment business for over 37 years. And in the film industry, I was a scenic contractor and scenic builder for a number of years. I worked on some of the top movies in the last 15 years. The last movie I worked on for scenic design and development was Titanic for James Cameron in 1997. Then I retired from that area. And if I can back up a little, I won a contest to study art with the famous illustrator Norman Rockwell. And out of 5,000 people, 6 of us were chosen to go to Stockbridge and work with Norman Rockwell. And like anybody else that have dreams and ambitions, I was always an artist. I could draw before I could write my name. And Norman Rockwell was my favorite artist. I used to just delve into the magazines and try to copy his work and all that kind of stuff. Little did I know that somewhere in my lifetime I'd actually get a chance to work with him and meet him and move my career along. Norm was instrumental in getting me some work in New York, and at that time it was agency work was done in-house for the networks. I started with CBS, doing storyboards and commercial advertising stuff for production on air. And then after a while with CBS, I also did some camera work on location shoots for the nightly news with Walter Cronkite and people like that. But then eventually I moved over to NBC, and again, doing the same work I was in the advertising areas. I moved in a little bit more into a camera operation in studio. So I did have a chance to work camera for the Today Show and meet the people in television and news and get to know the lay of the land. And after that happened, I got an offer to be advertising director for the Alaskan Pipeline Project in Houston, Texas. I moved to Houston, worked on that project. The oil glut hit in '85, and through my connections with the Houstonian in Houston, I was fortunate to meet the president of film production in Paramount. We got to know each other. He offered me a job. Little did I know that the oil glut was going to hit in '85, and I was watching oil rigs being blasted out of the air one day, and the next day I was unemployed. So I said, well, what do I got to lose? So I went out to California, met with the people at Paramount, got a job doing grub work with them, and that fixed my career in scenic development and design. So I had a lot of fun with that. Then I moved on to Las Vegas for 7 years and did one of the biggest shows that made history in Las Vegas called EFX, starring Michael Crawford. It made Las Vegas history as the longest running show in Las Vegas at that time. It ran 10 years. So I was very fortunate to get back in the business, moved to San Diego, California, where I lived most of my adult life, and was very fortunate to be in the right place in the right time and take advantage of the opportunities I had when I met people in regards to connecting with them and developing friendships and camaraderie that worked as far as getting into the major end of entertainment. And that I retired in '97, right after Titanic, to move back home and take care of my 93-year-old father, which eventually passed away. But while I was doing it, I was having people call me and say, "Hey, Randy, you know such and such, you've done, do you know anybody that could fund our independent film, blah, 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 blah." Well, I really didn't, but I knew people to get in the door with. So it started working. I started getting these people money to fund their films. Well, I thought that was a good gig, and I didn't want to go back to work full time, and it was lucrative. So I thought, well, I get into that. Well, I did that for a few years, and then I retired again and got back into it. And fortunately, in the last 3 years, we were doing real good with the productions that we were getting financed. And then, of course, the virus hit and knocked the wind out of us. And it failed once and then started over. So you never give up. You believe in yourself, believe what you can do, and never give up on your dreams.
You know,
What you have between your ears is what's going to make it happen for you. Now, I've known a lot of people in this field that have grown up in dysfunctional families, grown up in areas where they were beat down as far as their own self-respect and belief in themselves to do what they had dreams to do.
well, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something, Randy. Not to cut you off, but I'm curious about something. Your journey has been quite interesting from where you began, and we don't meet too many people around here that could say that. So that's
Well, the situation with Norman Rockwell. Now, the generation that's coming up now may have heard of him, or they hear anecdotes that are, "Oh, this is like a Norman Rockwell situation," and they go, "Who's Norman Rockwell?" They may not have even seen him or even recognized him to look at him. But yeah, I look at your ornaments when you go in to see the Hallmark ornaments that are all Norman Rockwell ornaments. You know what I mean?
right.
I mean, he's a legend in Americana. His background was to capture the essence of American life and the way people lived in this country. Even though he did international things and he did a lot of other contracts for other magazines and so forth, Norman Rockwell did 460 paintings.
Wow.
All right. And a true story. I was working in California, and I went to a fundraiser for Bill and Hillary Clinton in La Jolla, California. And a senator took me over there to meet Bill. And I don't know him that well that I can call him Bill, but I'm doing it for this interview. I know of him and he knows of me. But I find out that Bill Clinton is the biggest collector of original Norman Rockwell works. And I happen to have a piece that's never been produced of Rockwell's. And what was funny about it is Bill Clinton's very friendly and very outgoing. But as soon as the senator told him who my art teacher was, he was like a little kid in a candy shop. He was jumping up and down, saying, "Oh my God, oh my God. Hey, well, what do you got? What do you got?" I told him I have an original. He goes, "Can I buy it?" I said, "It's not for sale." So that was a long running thing that we had for many years. Uh, hey Randy, how you doing? I want to buy it. No, no, President Clinton is not for sale. So it's sort of a running joke, even though he's not a friend of mine. I don't know him other than socially, and met him a few times. But it was kind of a running joke we had, and that was kind of cute.
Right, right. That's pretty cool.
But the fact is that, um, like anything else, if you're a musician and you have a favorite artist and you get to meet or work with them, it's the height of your career. It puts you on cloud nine, and it also makes you look like, hey, maybe I do have something. If somebody uh, can value me that's already a star or in a top successful area of his career, I must mean something. I must have a reason to be here and do what I do. And I had to learn that the best, it's what's between your ears. It's believing in yourself. Even as I started to say, people grow up in dysfunctional families where maybe parents say, "Oh, you'll never amount to anything. You're useless. You're worthless." All right. There comes a time in your life where you have to get past that. And an individual that I met, I told them something about somebody they knew, that if you're controlled, once those parents die, you actually are free. You can make your own decisions. All right. And 90% of making yourself move forward is making positive decisions and believing in the outcome, believing that you have the abilities to make it happen. All right.
Interesting.
Never give up on that dream. It's there for a reason. You're there for a reason. No matter how negative somebody may have made you in your life, it's what's between your ears that's going to make it positive for yourself.
Wow.
And only through that can you move forward with your life and get your success that you want. Success is not just all about money. All right. A bag lady that's smiling and happy sitting on her bench is more successful than Donald Trump in his big tower. Because he's happy. She's happy.
You just had to go there. You just
found
had to go
her own self-worth and what she's about. He or she is happy in that. I'm not saying you have to be homeless to be happy. I'm saying that the value situation that we put on our abilities in this country is all about wealth and money, and that's success. If you're not happy with all that wealth and money, what good is it?
Well, I agree.
Money is a tool. It's a tool to be respected and used in a very positive way.
I agree, Randy.
I can sleep at night if I help somebody with money. If I try to take advantage of that person, how can I live with myself?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. I think a lot of people in today's world, they're just chasing the mighty dollar, but in reality is, what are you really chasing? Because you try to fill that void of happiness. The question is, what is true happiness? And I don't think a lot of people know what it is. They know that.
Again, it's up to an individual to decide what that is.
Exactly.
But I'm 74 years old, and I think I've been around the business long enough to understand how very difficult this business is to stay in and find your purpose.
Right.
And define your purpose to self.
Exactly.
Because there are many people within this business that are very controlling and very monstrative as far as the way they treat you. And artistic people, whether they're a karate expert or not, are very sensitive people, whether they put that armor on to protect themselves or not. they get destroyed. And many
Yeah.
good people have left Hollywood and left the industry because of that. And it doesn't have to happen.
Well,
That's why I think independent films are going to move forward in a very positive way.
well, because you're not dealing with the machine no more. You're dealing with creativity, you're dealing with passion, you're dealing with stories that people in a whole wants to hear and see. It's not hand-picked by the machine. So I think a lot of times, we as people, we see things being recycled, rehashed, and you know, revamped. And after a while, it gets diluted, and you say to yourself, I mean, come on now, how many times can you give me the same cereal? It eventually becomes stale. I want something else.
That's turning around right now. And I think by next year, by at least middle of next year, the success rate for independent films is going to be there. It's not there yet, but it's getting there.
Well, Randy, I think I couldn't agree better, because I think, a lot of independent films have different unique stories that they bring to the table. And, I believe that the public and the people, they tell you that, look, hey, we like what we like, and we don't care what the critics say. We want to watch what we want to watch. Look at Squid Games from Netflix. It became a huge success, and not even Hollywood could have picked that one.
Well, if you notice too, in the next few years, there's going to be at least three major state-of-the-art studios built outside of California, within the middle of the state, towards the East Coast, and I believe somewhere in Arizona. And that is because these studios will be looking at their value sources being independent filming. Independent filming in the last 10 years has actually skyrocketed. And they're getting a lot more interest at the fairs and so the filming fairs and stuff, Sundance and so forth, where people are looking at that resource versus major studio resources. Only because it is what it is. It's independent. You have your ownership. You don't have somebody dictating or rewriting your storyline to the point where it's not even yours. And the value is in the individual who's writing it and who owns it. And you don't give up your intellectual property. So filming is moving in an entirely different direction. The fact that streaming is going to be an intricate part of the way presentation is made to the general public is all good. It's all good for the industry, and it's definitely going to be good for independent films.
I agree, Randy.
Yeah, so I see that moving forward in a very positive light.
Listen, we're winding down to the midway of the hour. We have a couple of questions. A couple of questions one of our fans wanted to ask you is, first question, what is your biggest failure?
My biggest failure, I would think, is I love education. I've always liked to teach. I've done some private teaching in regards to art, but I love knowledge. My biggest thing is not going further for a higher degree situation. That would, and I don't know if I regret that, but I wish it could have been done, because I think I would have taken my career choices even further in a different direction,
Yeah.
So and whether I regret it, no, because I've had a ball. I've been very fortunate to look at opportunities when they come my way and take advantage of that opportunity to move forward. So I've had a very successful career in my career choices. So, but that would be it if I had any regrets that I didn't go further for education.
Okay, all right. Moving on to question number 2. What was the best advice about life you have ever received?
Well, I'm going to have to go by something that Norman Rockwell told me.
Oh, Norman. All right.
I was so enthralled with him that, you go to his house and he had this little carriage barn. His house was a very, you know, unpretentious farmhouse on a nice hilly piece of land and on a very quiet street. And he was just really down to earth. And I said,
Hello? Hello? Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have technical difficulties. I think we just lost Randy. Hold on one second.
hello.
Yeah, hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I'm sorry, I'm by the mountains, and sometimes, I don't know, I think these giant pterodactyls fly by or something. Anyway,
make sure them UFOs don't get you.
well, that could be, but I mean, you have to negotiate with somebody once in a while. All right. So anyway, we'll go back to that. I don't know if you got to edit this or just go from here, or just take it and run with it. But
No.
I asked him. I said, Norm, how did you make it with all these big advertisers and all this, and you're working in New York and you're working around the world and you're doing president paintings and all that? He says, Randy, I learned one thing a long time ago. Put your ego on the shelf, all right, and get the job done on time and within budget. And I never forgot that. So we all have egos as artists.
True.
There's nobody in the arts, no matter whether it's dancing, music, or what, that doesn't have an ego. That fuels your progressiveness. But it can get in the way and can make you lose respect and lose jobs and just become real ugly or lose a career. So I've never forgotten that, and that's one of my mantras that I use all the time with people.
Well, I think it's a great mantra to put your ego on a shelf and just get the job done. I think at the end of the day, that's what matters and that's what counts. Nobody cares about your ego. We care that you are able to do what you say you can do, and you can produce the work you say you can produce. And that's the most important thing. A lot of these people out here, artists and filmmakers, they don't understand that it takes different components to make a movie. And without those
the
components,
directors in the business can tell you the horror stories on set.
Oh, yeah.
And I know a few of them that are just wonderful, but I don't have time to share with you tonight. But they are bizarre, and it's because egos are in the way.
All right, moving along to question number 3. All right, if you had the chance to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I would be more frugal in my spending and my way of handling my finances, put it that way. That's what I would do. Yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting answer. Never had that answer before.
Okay. Well, you grow up in the 50s and stuff, and you grew up with parents that put money away, and they had the GI Bill to go to school, and they bought the house with the picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the dog. It was a whole different lifestyle. There was money available. Today, kids are saddled with $60,000, $70,000 student loans before they even get a job. So how do you become successful and have money to work with? You don't. All right.
Gotcha.
So we're in a very different world. All right. But seeing that in the world today, I would have done that years ago. Had I had the knowledge in a younger life, what I know now compared to what I knew then. You know what I mean?
So what advice, this is a bonus question, ladies and gentlemen, what advice would you give young people today in the 21st century if they wanted to get into this business? What's the right attitude to have?
I would say a positive attitude. Never give up on yourself. And hopefully you meet one person in your life that believes enough in you to mentor you. I was very fortunate to have 2 individuals in my life who are very famous in the business that had belief in me. And because of that, they carried me through. They carry me through to have belief in myself.
All right.
See, a lot of times, very sensitive people or people have fear of failure, and it's a real problem. It's not something that somebody's just cowardly.
Winding down,
they
Randy.
actually become fearful of success. And indirectly or subliminally, what they will do is defeat themselves and set up situations within that will not let them succeed. All right? That's building trust in self, building the trust that you were given a very wonderful gift that many people don't have, and that you need to develop that success, because when you work in that, it's not work.
Well, let me tell you something. Thank you for sharing that, Randy. Sorry to cut you off, but we're winding down to the hour.
I know I can get a little, but I get very passionate, and I truly believe in people in this business.
I agree.
They need a fair shot.
Tell the audience what's your coffee of the night, Randy. What you're working with. What's your coffee of the night, Randy? What you're working with.
Drink Jason Sanborn.
He told you what was his cup of coffee of the night. I'm going to tell you what's mine. I'm only drinking regular Americano. Nothing crazy. Nothing sweet.
Craziness. Yeah. Well,
just milk and coffee and a little bit of sugar.
Yeah, no. I heard about that coffee. I think I'll pass around. Yeah.
Well, Randy,
I leave that to somebody else's taste.
Well, Randy, thank you for being on.
It's been a pleasure. You have a great night, and hope to talk to you soon.
You too, Randy. Take care. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to us on Make That Bloody Movie with Coffee. Signing out.